Hi everybody, Chris here from Truly Holistic. In this video, we're going to talk about cancer and how it survives. Now, this is going to go really deep in regards to it because there's a lot of people that don't understand that the foundation, the baseline of everything we perceive on the physical is frequency, it's energy, it's consciousness, okay? And so no one looks at cancer as an energy, as an intelligence, as a consciousness itself. A lot of practitioners, people talking about cancer, how to remedy cancer, they're talking about what happens on either a cellular level or a growth lesion or tumor. But of course, that's not the foundation, the baseline of physical reality. Okay. So I work with a lot of clients that are either currently have cancer, they're also doing conventional treatments such as chemotherapy, radiation, surgeries like a lumpectomy if they've got breast cancer. And I've also worked with clients that are not doing those treatments. They want to do all natural. I've also worked with clients that have already had treatment done and they come to me to prevent cancer coming back. So we're going to talk about a wide spectrum of that, especially in regards to someone that is in remission and they've come to me for preventative measures that it doesn't come back again. Because there is, let's face it, there is a lot of people that go through those treatment methods. They're told that there is no cancer. They're in remission and that they get cancer in the next few years after that. And quite often, the practitioner, the doctor will say, hey, that's a different cancer because it's showing itself in a different part of the body. Well, no, cancer is cancer. Okay. So let's get into it. This is going to be very empowering for you, whether you're someone that's had cancer, currently does have cancer, or it might be someone that is got a loved one, a person they care about, that is going through cancer. You might be just someone that just wants to be empowered with this information. So let's jump into it. Now, because I'm a energy healer, a quantum energy healer, reality coach, I have a level of perceiving reality, right? And everything that we experience in reality. In this video, experiencing having cancer from a consciousness level, right? From a level I've just explained. And when you see it at that level, you have a greater understanding and knowing of why life forms behave the way they do, including cancer. And at a consciousness level, everything wants to evolve themselves. Cancer wants to evolve itself. Okay. And as an intelligence, we can say that cancer is a parasitic form of intelligence, right? And what that means, it means it doesn't have the tools, it doesn't have the energy, the light to evolve itself. It must seek out and search for a light source, an energy source for it to feed on, for it to evolve. Okay, hence parasitic. Now we know where cancer comes from. We call that the void. Okay, now how is that connected to the human experience? Why, cancer is the number two killer of humans, and it might be even going past heart disease now. Why is it so? Why are we seeing it everywhere in regards to the human experience? Well, at the core of the human experience is an internal conflict, right? And that internal conflict is that we are discerned by two different pathways. One is mind, thought, mentality, and the other one is heart, feel, knowing, or understanding. Okay. And we are generally, as the human, our curriculum in becoming the human is forged by the mind, right? This is why a human uses mind thought mentality as its primary form of discernment, right? Of understanding what it perceives and how it should go about something as we know as life. Okay. Including majority of people, how when they get cancer, how they're going to go about remedying that, treating that, where they're going to go to get advice from an expert in the field and so on. Okay. Now, the mind represents the void. That's what it facilitates. And this is why the human that is mainly mind forged generally experiences what we call cancer. Okay. But we're also discerned by what we feel. And this is more heart based. And after working on thousands of people on all sorts of health problems, including cancer, all around the world from all different cultures, what is clear as anything is that when we perceive reality from the discernment from the heart and what we feel, we present our natural state. We present a state that enables and allows regeneration, rejuvenation, healing, or to maintain wellness and vitality. And more importantly, it's not the pathway that facilitates cancer, because the heart facilitates what we are as a soul consciousness, and that is the quantum, and that means light. Okay. No parasitic intelligence comes from the quantum, because we don't need sustenance or light from another. We have that already. Okay. Now, so the conflict we have as the human is we get a discernment of what we feel about something, but also thought comes in, and we're like, which one do we action upon? Thoughts that are coming through, or what I feel about this? And what we've generally found is, as I say, our natural state that supports the body is what is felt, what comes from the heart. But we are taught and conditioned as the human to use thought and use the mind as a primary form of discernment, which means thought and mind supersedes and dominates feel and the heart. And this is the issue. Okay. Now, but this video is mainly about how does cancer survive, right? As I said, somebody might go through treatment methods, whether they go through radiation, whether they go through chemotherapy, whether they go through getting surgery, and they go into remission. But the intelligence or consciousness of cancer exists. You can't get rid of that, because any intelligence or consciousness is infinite, including yourself as a soul, by the way. So the question is knowing how it's facilitated to be expressed through someone's body, which means for that energy, right, that wants to evolve itself, and it evolves itself through the body, which evolves it, but it compromises the individual because they die through cancer. Okay. So when we use mind and thought mentality, right, to discern reality, and we're going to bring this up. Okay. That one, I'll just remove that one. Sorry, this one here. Is we use mentality, as you can see at the top there, with mind, thought, mentality. Now, the problem with mentality, right? This is why people come to me and they say, hey, I've had cancer, I've had the treatment, and cancer, it's not just the trauma of cancer, it's a lot of the treatment, conventional treatment is very traumatic to go through too, right? Chemotherapy, radiation, because it causes all this collateral damage. It's not just trying to get rid of cancer, it damages normal tissue, right? The emotional, the mental trauma, everything that person went through. It now becomes part of their past. That's where it lies now, right? Okay. If they are in remission and they want to make sure that it doesn't come back. But when we use mentality, we allow our past to come in and influence our choices made now, and our choices made now become our future experience. And the cancer exists in the past. Your experience of cancer, your trauma of the cancer and the treatment is in the past. And through mentality, we're allowing it to influence the person you are today, which make choices that will become your future. And the thing is, we create reality. We're very powerful creators. So mentality, right, is bound to mind, and the mind is the representation of the void, right, where parasitic intelligence comes from, which is cancer. So you can see our own process and the way we're taught and conditioned as the human is to support, promote cancer, right? But that trauma was so debilitating to that person that they don't want to go back there again. In fact, the practitioner, the doctor, want to do regular tests to make sure, hey, we've got to be on the safe side. But that's increasing the chances of it coming back again too. And where we generally find cancer, the intelligence, the energy hiding out, it's within the nervous system. And it's hiding there, waiting for the right moment, the right time, the right experience, the right state that person enables and provides for it to come back out and evolve through a cellular mutation and also through a tumor. We know that. Okay. And who's presenting that state? You are. Right? When you're using mentality, right, and allowing where cancer comes from, that trauma of cancer and the treatment that you had for it, it's allowing it to survive, to come back, to remanifest, because that's what mentality is. It's a remanifestating loop, as you can see there. You don't want to remanifest that, do you? So this is where, we are truly holistic. We talk a lot about this. A lot of our clearing work is about this, right? I often say within a 45-minute session, we're essentially getting someone out of mind, thought, mentality and getting them back into heart, feel, knowing, which essentially means we're opening the doors to facilitate more of you, which comes from the quantum, and hence less of the things that cause all these health problems, including cancer, because it doesn't come through the pathway of the heart. It comes through the pathway of the mind. Okay. Because when we're being guided by the heart, right, and we're feeling away, and remember with feel, you remain connected to the now, to the present. You don't go into the past and you don't go too ahead in the future. You remain with simply what is, because simply what is the now. We've never made a choice in the past. We've never made a choice in the future because really it doesn't exist. When we're in the mind, thought, mentality, yes, we fabricate it, but in the heart doesn't know that. So hence the heart doesn't use mentality. As you can see on this diagram, the heart doesn't remanifest. The heart is only interested in forging a new path. And with that new path, there's no relevance for cancer there because that cancer is now part of your past. Which meaning you provide a state, an environment for your body, but also a process in moving forward that does not allow the survival of cancer as an energy, as an intelligence. And if cancer's not there as an energy or an intelligence, there's no way it's going to manifest as a cellular mutation or a growth lesion or tumor through the body. Okay. It's expressing itself through your body, through this medium we call the body, which then enables its evolution, but not yours. Okay. Let's come back to me. So we'll bring this up Let's have a look. So this is really showcasing, the two paths we have, right? The mind, representation of the void, right? Void means nothingness, right? Which means that every intelligence that comes from there doesn't have the means to sustain itself, to evolve itself. It must feed on something that's light, right? And in that diagram, it's shown as a black hole. What does a black hole do with that gravitational force? It sucks in light into itself. It feeds on things that are light. That's what we authentically are, is light. That's why Cancer's interested in us. Okay. But the thing is, the way we are taught and conditioned as a human is to be hoodwinked into believing that the mind and what it represents, the void, is us. No, not at all. We are the quantum, as it's shown here, which is the light. We are the light. We need to know and understand how we facilitate the light. And how we facilitate the light, this goes all the way back to our conception, right? Everyone knows that, right? A male and a female come together to conceive you, but that's the formation of the body. The body is going to become a vehicle for you. But originally, that vehicle, that body, it's empty. It's a husk. It has no driver yet. How do you, and what I mean by you as a soul consciousness, right? What you infinitely and authentically are, how do you get here? You got here when the first organ that was formed in that embryo actually was formed outside the embryo and then moved in. And do you know what that organ was? The heart. The heart was the portal, the wormhole that got you here as a consciousness to utilize that vehicle, that medium we call a body, for a lifetime. Okay. So it's the heart that facilitates the quantum, the light. And a lot of people, when they're going through cancer, right? They say they're in remission. They don't want cancer back. We would call that their heart's desires, right? Isn't it interesting? Our greatest desires are associated to the heart. But we're not going to manifest our heart's desires if we're allowing the mind to discern our path, to discern our choices. All we're going to get is what the mind wants. And remember, the mind represents the void, and that's where cancer as an intelligence, as a parasitic intelligence, comes from. I hope this is making a lot of sense. All right, let's get me back on. Okay, so let's just bring up my notes here. So, cancer depends on you using mentality, right? It depends on the memory, because the trauma of cancer is just not having cancer, right? As I said, it's the treatment involved, the harsh treatment involved. It is harsh, it's barbaric, right? This is why chemo is often represented as poison, radiation, burn, right? And then surgery is cut, because they are very barbaric. It's not an exact science, because who comes out without any collateral damage or adverse effect of radiation, chemotherapy, and surgery, because you're removing something that was designed to be there. There's adverse effects all amongst that treatment. While at the same time, that level of understanding and knowing of really what cancer is not very good either. Okay. It's truly holistic, because my expertise is in reality, understanding reality, the fabric of reality, how it's formed, how it's created, how things facilitate it. We know that what we perceive on the physical level, right, matter, physical reality, was originally formless frequencies, which is at the consciousness intelligence level. We have a greater understanding of where these things come from, how you facilitate them, how they're fed, to be relevant, to influence, to affect person. And we can really help you with this sort of thing. We know that cancer relies on you using mentality, the memory of those traumas, right? And that's not just based on cancer, right? It's based on like trauma or PTSD, right? The trauma itself, the event itself, is probably the least impactful thing for the individual over a period of time, because it's more about our process that enables something that was part of our past to continually influence the person we are today and tomorrow and the next day and the next week and the next month and the next year and the next decade. And that is part of the process that we are taught and conditioned to use as the human to perceive and process our life and reality, which does not support us. Talking about mentality, that's where the word mental comes from, right? Mental health, mental illness. A person cannot have a mental illness if they don't use mentality in the way they perceive and process reality, right? So you can see how flawed it is. That is essential in maintaining cancer survives and comes back. This is why you understanding what you authentically are and infinitely are and how you facilitate yourself through the heart is so pivotal. If you don't want cancer to come back, for you to never have cancer, for you to never have mental illness, for you to never be crippled by trauma and therefore eventually get PTSD. All of it. Okay. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you're someone that is currently going through cancer, and again, I know I've talked about the conventional treatment options, and as I said, I've worked with a lot of clients that are also getting that treatment, and it's not my place to tell you don't do that and just do me, right? And just do my modality and my healing. That's not my place, right? Truly Holistic is a very self-empowering environment. You make the choices in the end, because I realize you're the one creating your reality, right? I'm here to be merely a guide to open the doors for you, to facilitate the flow, the energy, and the healing, which is, again, I'm not sending you my energy. I'm not sending you some universal energy outside of you. You require more of your light, more of your consciousness, more of you, more of your energy signature. So I open the doors of that. I'm a guide, right? That has a higher level of knowing or understanding of reality. And I want to give you that wisdom, that insight, so you can change how your own process, right, of how you perceive and process reality, that is putting all the odds in your favor, not against you. That's what it's all about. So if you want to book a session with me, go to my appointment page at trulyholistic.net/appointments/ where we have many session options, single session options, but we also do packs of 3 sessions in a pack, 6 sessions in a pack, which will come with a discount. Because we realize there are certain health issues that are not going to be fixed within 45 minutes, right? One session. And a lot of the times, because I'm providing insight, knowing, understanding that is not conventionally known, it does take a wee while for that to sink in. Right. And so we also provide not just healing, also reality coaching, right? Talking about these concepts, talking about these ideas, so you can shift your process and how you perceive and process reality from one that's not so much mind, thought, mentality, but more heart, feel, knowing, as I say, to put all the odds in your favor in whatever scenario or situation you are, whether you have cancer or not. So go and check my website out, book an appointment with me. If you've liked this video, please give me a like. If you want to see more content like this, please subscribe to the channel. Push the notification bell to be notified when the next video drops. Until next time, catch you later.